Team Pyranha paddler. Today I'm going to be outfitting my new burn and showing you some top tips and handy hints so you can get the best performance out of your boat. Okay, the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to get my seat right for me, and I'm just going to strip back all of these bits and the ratchets here and just put that out of the way. The seat position is the most important thing to do first because it affects all the rest of my outfitting. It'll affect where my thigh braces go and where my footrest is. So what I want to talk about here really is kind of the height of the seat firstly. Now I'm about 5'9", and I paddle a medium burn, and so without any padding under the seat, it's a little bit deep for me. I kind of like to be slightly higher and reaching out. Now you'll really want to do this with the seat inside the boat, and so you can kind of sit and feel how far out you can reach and stuff. But I've taken it out just to kind of show you, make it easy to show you how to do it. So you can see from this kind of how the seat cover is attached to the seat, and there's kind of some clever screws here and then something that we can undo on this side. So what you need to do is reach underneath and just pinch this bit here, and then with a small screwdriver just undo that, and then the safely comes off. So you see how I get to this kind of stage, and now what I want to use now is the mini cell sticky back foam that's supplied with all new Pyranha boats. And then from here I can cut out some shapes with my handy scissors to kind of go underneath here. Now as a rough guide, I put about 3 layers of this foam in, and that will use a good proportion of this roll. It's really worth doing. So I put my foam in my seat, and I just want to talk quickly about the adjustments we can put on them. And you'll see from here we've got kind of 3 different points, 5 holes and 3 different adjustment points. Now I'd recommend to start with, if you're new to the boat or you're unsure about it, have it in the middle. And this kind of affects the trim of our boat, so kind of how it sits like that in the water. Leave it in the middle. To reattach it, we need to use our bolts that come with it. We have a back plate, and there's a bit that goes in the middle, which kind of is for this. We'll look at that later. And this is a little bit tricky. I need to get my holes in my seat lined up with the holes in my hull, and then get it lined up with the holes in this. So when I do that, I'm going to put it all together and then tighten it up. I've got my holes lined up, and I'm going to make sure the bolts are all the way down the bottom here before I put this plate on. I need to make sure that happens so it doesn't get cross-threaded when it goes on. It's also a top tip and handy hint, and the boats do come with it on, but any metal on metal and bolts in water need to really be greased, and you can see there's a little bit of grease on it from the factory. And if it looks a bit dry, stick a bit more on, because if you come to adjust it in the future, it'll actually undo. So I'm going to hold that plate on and then do my screws up. Do a little bit of each at the same time. What I want to look at now is getting our hip pads right, and so that kind of really hugs ourselves into our seat and we can really feel ourselves edging the boat. Now the hip pads come with what we call a small shim inside. If you peel back the velcro on the back, you can see there's a bit of foam tucked inside here. The boat also comes with a thicker one, and so you can slot in the one that you need, and then that kind of goes along here against the velcro on the side of the boat, and then the straps go around the back and through the buckle here. Now, what I recommend is that you have the top of the hip pads slightly thicker and further in between, which means that kind of locks over your hips, which will give you slightly more aggression. So the thick one goes in right at the top, or a thicker one goes in right at the top, and then a slightly thinner one maybe at the bottom. I'll put them both in there. A little bit of velcro goes back on, and then I'm kind of ready. And that will give me quite an aggressive fit. If I wanted to go even more custom and had a bit more time, what I can do is shape a bit of mini cell foam. Here's one I prepared earlier, and that can go against the side there, and then my hip pads can then go in front of that, giving me that same kind of aggressive feel, and you see it's tapered at the side, so again it's kind of hooking over the top of my hips. Okay, now we've got our seat fitted and I'm nice and snug in my boat, and it really fits me. Now I'm going to move kind of further towards the bow of my boat and get my thigh braces in the right place. I think it's worth remembering the name, they're thigh braces, not knee pads, and I like to have mine as far, like as close to my bum as possible, because that really engages me into the boat. So I would move it back as far as comfortable. You have to take this top bolt out that goes in here, and then loosen the one on the side, and that slides up and down here. You can see that. And then put it in the right spot. Again, line it up with the hole in the boat, with the hole in the thigh brace itself, and then the bolt goes straight through there, and then there's a nut that goes in below there and it tightens up, and I can do that for both sides. After you've got our thigh braces sorted, I like to then go towards my footrests. And don't be tempted to do your footrest first. I think getting in this order means you kind of get it in the right place at this point. Now the burns come with a pod on here, and this is a full place footrest that's kind of attached to the boat solidly. I've taken it out again just so I can show you more easily what it is I'm going to do, but you can do this from within the boat. You make your life a bit easier. Now the boat comes with two of these pods, a slightly larger one than this. So if you're going to have the footrest quite close towards you, have the bigger one, because it means that your foot can't kind of slip past the footrest and get trapped behind the boat. So we definitely recommend that. And that's pretty easy to do. You can see that there's a big hole here, and you can get to the nuts, take the rails off, put them on the new one. Straightforward, easy done. What I like to do is kind of, I keep the weight down by using a small one and use more of my foam. And so you see, if I put my first layer of foam on that comes with my boat, this layer of foam here, it slots in, and that gives me a full plate footrest and some protection in case I hit a rock and it's got a bit of squeeginess from my ankles. Now what you'll see is here we've still, the way the design of the rail to keep it strong is that we've still got a little bit here encroaching onto our foot space. So what I really like to do is buy a second one, which is available from the shop. And I put that in again, slot that in nicely there. Then you see here I've lost none of the space, which is perfect. So I've really got a full face of truly full plate footrest, and I've lost none of my foot space. So you can just see, a smart triangle there. Now I've got all the space again. And it only is a little bit. But that's exactly where your balls or your feet go. Just here, my leg goes like that, my foot goes like that. So that actually, I think, makes quite a big difference. And the double foam again is that bit of impact resistance. It also makes the boat float a bit higher because there's more flotation in it. I think that's really important. Once I put this together like this, I'll need to trim it down around here so it fits into my boat, which is so it actually fits in snug. And I don't want a gap in between it. Doesn't rattle, keep it nice and snug. One thing I've done extra as well is on my kind of this layer here, I've added on my right one, I've added a heel block here. So again, I've got more connectivity. You can kind of see where my feet go. My balls and my feet go there, and then my heel touches on this pad here. And again, that gives me a bit more push with my feet, more connectivity, and therefore more control. The last top tip and handy hint with my footrests is to try and keep some buoyancy in the front of my boat. So if I do take a swim and the boat fills up, there's a bit of flotation in the front. And what I've got is some pretty straightforward square mini cell foam, again, which I can get from Matt or Dave at the shop at Kayaks Northwest. And I'm just going to shove this in the front. An airbag would do the job, or an old bag of wine. That's also pretty good. But the foam, I can forget about it. It won't deflate. It's not going to mess up. Just put it in there, forget about it. And my boat's going to float. The nose is going to float a bit higher out of the water. Put that back in the boat, shape it out, do the nuts up, and the wheel nuts come with a tiny little washer. I don't know if you can see that. And that you do it up tight against those, and that stops it from coming undone in transit. So now I've got my footrest sorted and my heel block in, quite comfortable. And the last thing now really is, I've got my 5 braces in the seat fitted in this way, and I've got my feet pushed against something, I can now kind of work out if at all, if there's a gap in between my knees and the side of my boat. And again, being quite small for this boat, then I need that. And again, I can use my handy mini-sail roll, sticky back foam, cut it some squares off, and then add a few layers just so my knees touch the side of my boat. So that's perfect. If you've got a bit more time and again want a bit more aggressive connectivity, I've actually made myself some knee blocks, and these actually fit underneath my knee. So if this was my knee, it kind of sits back there, and that again gives you more connectivity. So as I edge my boat around, I'm pushing down with that edge as well as lifting up with this knee, so kind of down and up at the same time. So that works out really well. It's worth the time to make. It's just normal mini-sail foam that I've kind of glued bits onto, and I've just used Evo stick from B&Q to kind of contact adhesive to stick it to my boat. Yeah, and it works really well. That's perfect. So that was outfitting my boat. If you've got any further questions, email the shop or myself and we can give you a go. One little warning: do not start this process without a cup of tea.
Sí, me gusta cuando estamos así y cantarte lo que siento por ti. Decir que nos queremos y que nunca nos olvidaremos es un sentimiento que va creciendo poco a poco.